Hey, welcome back. I'm working on my dad's Pontiac 350 just a little bit more. We're going to work on putting some more pieces and parts so they make it run here, put back in the car once we get it all assembled and test fire. But I finally got some great news. I finally got some heads. There's two of them, plural, two heads back here. And got some great news that comes along with that. They were donated to us here to put on the car. And I'll tell you what, I wasn't sure about them at first because you never know about free, but they actually are really nice heads. They're going to make for a fantastic combination here for our little 350. I'm going to share you some information about Pontiac heads, the do's, don'ts, and whys, and maybes, and the right way, the wrong way, and the VVG way of cleaning up some heads, put them back on an engine to make it go again. Let's take a look at these new toys right here. Let's start off here with our casting number 46. What's that mean? Not necessarily a whole lot. Put in there with the January 29th of 1969. These are 1969 46 casting heads. What's that mean to you viewers out there? Probably not a heck of a whole lot, but what that means to me is, well, it's small valve, 196, 166 intake and exhaust valves. But the really cool thing is, you take a quick measurement of this little step on the combustion chamber. It kind of gives you an idea, but this is the shallowest one that I have. So this means this is the smallest combustion chamber, everything I have here in my garage right now. It should be about 68 cc's when I'm reading online. I might actually measure and check it, but I do know that means it's a small combustion chamber. So what's that mean for a 350? It means more compression, which is the easiest way to make power, especially when you get some news like this. I shared a few people that someone asked if I had the blocked deck, and I said no, because Pontiac normally, at least the ones I put together in the past, your piston height when it comes all the way top dead center. This piston, I assure you, is at top dead center, but I got one heck of a step. And the zero deck would be that piston is perfectly flat across the top of the surface. See if I get a better angle on it at all. But you can see how that's recessed just a little bit. Now, normally 10, 20 thousandths is normal. This is actually 0.45. That's quite a bit lower. And you take consideration of the valve release and everything, that's going to lower our compression ratio. So we need a smaller combustion cylinder head to get us back up to a good street level. Anything 9.5 or less is good for street. 7.5 is probably the minimum I would go, but you're losing a lot of power and throwing it away. But with this head combination, even though that's sunk down a little more than I would like it to be, we're going to end up about 8.6 to 1 from the calculators and playing now what I can figure out. There's some online stuff for calculating this in case you want to know in the future. But these were donated. I can't thank the guy enough. They were from Kentucky. I didn't have to drive all the way. It wasn't even a bad drive. 20-minute drive one way to pick them up, 20 minutes home. So loving them. Really nice shape. I pulled all the valves out, sandblasted them, made them look really nice and clean so I look like they do right now. Going to have to get them painted quick because they will rust. This is cast. But when doing so, though, I did find a major issue. This is one of the intake valves. As you can see, the stem, man, it is not in good shape. That has rusted and eroded away. This is the new valve. That's a rusty valve. Even the back side of the face of the valve cratered out kind of like our original heads. The good news was, though, this cylinder that it was in, the valve was closed. So the valve seat did not get destroyed on it. So fortunately, I'm going to be able to put new valves in it. I'm going to lap them just a little bit to make sure they're seated. Pontiac typically says, I even read on these here, these are new valves. It says, do not lap them or do that because it has an aluminized coating on it. Well, that's fine, but I don't plan on taking these to the machine shop. So we're going to do a little bit of lapping on it. And how you do that, use some of this magic compound right here. That's what we're going to get into here next. Oh, before we start digging into lapping valves, I'm going to learn you a little something. I had to buy some valves for this. I kind of covered the idea that these are 196 and 166 valves. The more popular, they call large valve Pontiac heads. On the later stuff, 211 and 177s. The valves almost touch each other. They're that big. That's your quick reference. If you can get your finger between the valves, not a big valve Pontiac head. If you can get your fingernail between them, now you're talking some big stuff like Ram Arrowheads you'll find are 211, 177. 350 don't got that. Not a base 350, and it's probably overkill for the volume of the cylinders. But just my opinion, just my thoughts. But when it comes to the valves, a few things you want to keep in mind. The valve face right here, this is the angle this is cut at. 1969, come to find out, they changed the intake to 45 degrees. I think it's actually 44 on the valve and 45 on the head. That's how you get them to match up. 1968 350 number 17 heads that we had to work with, I was going to try to reuse the valves, but guess what? They're 30-degree valve faces. So they aren't going to work. So just keep that in mind when trying to buy valves. You got to check your angle of your valve seat, and then the length and the diameter of the head. The important thing about the length is, keep in mind, I talked about that little step on that combustion chamber. This one's the shallowest step that I've ever seen. But that means then that I can raise the chamber height to increase it, basically the combustion chamber size, or bring it down. Well, the problem with that is the valve then has to adjust to the height of that chamber up or down. That's why you have so many different valve lengths. So you've got a really small combustion chamber head, well, guess what? You're going to have a longer valve. And as that head gets a larger combustion chamber, you're going to have a shorter valve. So you're going to find different lengths, different valve angle seats, and different diameters. Now, the odds of you ever having to replace a Pontiac valve in your head, or you have to find it, probably slim. Doing this for years is the first time I had to mess with it, but I just got schooled, I got learned, so I want to share a little bit of that with you. So don't just grab some valves because they're 211, 177 Pontiac valves and think they're going to work in your head, because they may not. Maybe the wrong length or valve face. Now, typically, I think all the exhaust valves are 45 already away. They only started messing with the intake valves. But if anything, check the length of the valves. That's what I did here. So here's the old eroded nasty guy. I still have all kinds of carbon built up on this face here, so I don't trust that height. This is one of the ones I cleaned up already, blasted that really clean. Cleaned this side. This one's probably marginal. I probably could have reused it, but $10 a valve ain't worth messing with it. But you get the idea. You can measure the length of the stem. Use your magic measuring tool. Here's our original valve. I think I came in at 508.384-ish. My new valve, I think, is just barely shorter than that, but we're not talking much. Yeah, 50. Oh, come on now. Square up. 5076. So technically slightly shorter, but I'm going to say in my world that I'm going to call that acceptable. So we're going to work on putting these in. Just wanted a quick little crash course on Pontiac valves. Now, these are cylinder heads. They are not lightweight. They are not something you can just kind of easily move around and flip around, because they got some weight to them. I created some very low-tech, you can buy cylinder head stands cheap on the interwebs, but I'm just too cheap. These are half-inch bolts, welded head-to-head, welded a nut into it. If I want to take these off, I could. But the idea was that'll slide into the head bolt hole, and I can then support the head either way, right side up or upside down. And that gives me some height off of the floor so I can work the valves in and out, etc. You get the idea. We can see how this will work. Now I can flip this head over. Now I can do some valve lapping. So quick little thing there. If you want to make your own valve or head stands, you could, or you can buy them pretty cheap just the same. Now when it comes to lapping valves, let me show you the valve seat up close. All right, I've already done all of these valves, just lightly hit them all. The seats look pretty good, especially on this head. I think this is the side that had to expose a little bit more water, because here's the valves that came out. This one's completely eroded away. Looks like hell. I mean, just not much left. I tried sandblasting. It was chunking out kind of like our 17 heads, and even the stem is eroded down to a whole lot less diameter. This one, I didn't even bother cleaning up. I was done at that point, realizing that most of the valves on this head weren't that great. This one is probably okay to reuse, but again, $10 a piece. I figure I go ahead and go for just replace them. This one's got some pretty heavy pitting on the back side of it. So I'm going to replace all 4 intake valves off of this head. And then the valve seats, I'll see if I get the camera to focus. I'll tell you, it's hard to get that little detail in here, but you can see the little, this little 1/8-inch wide band. That's our valve seat on this cylinder head. It's a little different design I think I've seen, but that's what the valve is going to seal against. You see little tiny, I mean, we're talking minute little dimples in it. That's what we're going to try to clean up with a little bit of lapping. There's the next one over. We are talking minor. I could probably just drop these valves in and not even worry about it. This one has a little more rusting in that face of it here. So this one I'm probably going to spend more time on lapping this valve. I think it's the one that was really bad, but it's not, and it's not dead. And again, take this with a grain of salt. If you want to take it to the machine shop, have them do a valve job on it, clean up the head, go for it. My concern is, I've expressed this once in the past, in case this is your first stopping in, Pontiac on these valve seats. They're not hardened, necessarily hardened seats, but Pontiac will, when the head is created, They will heat this head up. Flame hardens what they do. Cook that thing up really hot, let it cool, then you have 10 to 20 thousandths of hardened surface. Well, if you start machining that off, 10 to 20 thousandths isn't a whole lot. Then you no longer have a hardened surface, and you're going to have a problem with valves sinking into the heads, etc. So my goal is just to clean up enough with lapping compound to get that thing to seal. And again, this is a 350 going in my dad's car, putting a 2-barrel on it. We're never going to run it super hard, so I don't think we're going to have any problems. But hey, that's what we're going to share everything we do on this channel, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And if it falls apart, well, we know it was an epic fail, then we'll know not to do that again. But I think we're going to be okay. But anyway, nonetheless, let's get to lapping the valves here and I'll show you how this all works out. All right, so you're going to need some kind of oil. This is just engine oil. Put just a little dab on the valve stem because you want that lubricated to work through the valve guide. And these heads have been really seriously, I had pressure washed them, media blast them, and then took forever to clean all the sand, all the grit out of them. The other thing you want to keep in mind, though, the valve guide, if it's extremely worn out, that's a problem. If this valve actually was wobbling, we'd have an issue. But the valve guides in this, I don't feel any, I can't get any movement or owl of it. So I think the valve guides are 100% acceptable and fine. But I'm going to work that oil into that. Now my stem is all oiled up. Valve lapping compound, I think you can get about any part store. It's just a gritty polishing compound, more or less. It changes noise as the grit breaks down, and eventually you just have to wipe it off and start over again. Now there's machines, I've been watching some videos and getting learned up on this, but people like to use drill on them, but back in high school, they told us not to do that, so we use this little machine, little suction cup guy here. Just work it back and forth, and it's really loud, and as that grit breaks down, it gets quieter. If it gets quieter, pick the valve up, like so, put it back down, it gets louder again. So here, listen. It gets a little quieter as I try to keep the camera happy. See, it's almost nothing. Back up, down. We're going to keep working this to the point where either that lapping compound doesn't make any gritty noise at all anymore, or we'll pull this valve out and take a look at it, and if all those little pits are gone out of it, we're done. Okay, I think we're just about there. I don't hear any more picking up. It's lost its gritty sound. It doesn't crunch a whole lot anymore, so I've probably worn out our compound. So let's take a peek what that looks like. Now on the valve face, you'll see an area where it's not shiny at the end, where the light gray is that aluminum coating. The darker gray is where we're making contact with our valve seat in the head, and this is the aluminum spacing. So that needs to be, there's actually a spec for that width, and you have to get a Pontiac book out, service manual, and I'll probably check it, but either way, I'm going to run it. But that's that width here. It needs to be less than a certain amount, and we are 0.075 of an inch, so pretty minimal contact face, which that's okay. And the other thing is, I'll put these valves in order. Do not swap these around. Once you seat it into that one there, put it back in that spot. Let's wipe this clean. See how those pits are coming out. I think it's coming out pretty good. Let me show you here. Now remember, the side was really pitted. It was right here. Again, try to get the camera to focus. It's a trick here. Yeah, it looks a lot better. You still see a few remaining little pits on that edge there, but that was really bad. So we're going to do, I think, one more pass to see how that looks, but I think we're going to come out all right. Okay, another coating of magic compound. Probably wouldn't use this for toothpaste, but okay. All right, and another round. just about broke down again. Oh, there's a one. Well, let's check it, see where we're at. Boop. I'm not worried about the valve. These were not new valves. I'd be really inspecting them too to see if the pitting is gone, but they're new, so I don't have to worry about it. That looks a whole lot better now. I think we're gonna run that here. See if I can get that in there, but I see just some very, like 1 or 2 little minor pits. I just don't think I want to dig any further than that. But I need to do the same thing to these other 2 valves. But before I do that, I'm gonna put that valve back in and show you how that goes. I'm going to go ahead and put the valve back in. Wipe all your compound, clean the head real good. Slide the valve into the head. Pops through here like so. Now Pontiac, there's I guess some thoughts, but the older heads don't provide any provisions for anything besides just an O-ring for a valve seal. It's not much of anything, but I'm going to put it on there anyway. Slide it down to the base of the stem. Make sure it doesn't roll when you install it. Oops, I got it stuck there. Slide that to the base of the stem. Now let's talk about valve springs real quick. Pontiac, for the most part, every valve spring is identical to any of the cylinder heads, so you don't have to worry about matching those up, minus Ram Air heads. They have longer, different rate springs, but all your other standard springs are pretty much the same, so it kind of helps you out in case you're shopping for springs. Don't worry about it too much. Now, start doing some high performance applications and changing lifts and different cams. Well, that's a different story, but stock rebuilds, most of your springs are all the same. You have an inner, an outer. I have a little cap here, and this here's the top that goes on there. That's where our retainers are going to go in, our valve keepers are going in. So go ahead and place the valve spring in place. Now I bought this guy right here. This is a valve spring compressor, screws onto the valve stud. I got it on the Jungle store. I think it was like 15 bucks. Best tool ever. I had those big C-clamp style. I'll tell you what, it just struggled to do these heads. So you screw this on the valve stud. The rocker stud. Good gravy. All right, line this up like so, and I can hold the valve with my other hand to make sure that's going to slide into place. Comes with a cool adapter handle. Oh, let me get you down here a little further. You can see what's going on that way. Slide this over like so, hold the valve, and this will actually go over center to the point where it locks. Stays right where you need it to be. I should have got 2 of these out already. Now, some people like to put a little grease on the end of the valve, like lithium or something like that. So when you basically put these on the end of the valve, they're tapered. It goes in the top groove, the keyway. That'll kind of help hold them into place. I've been getting pretty lucky here so far. Not worrying about that. Like so. Now, my valve is reinstalled in that head. The other thing you want to do, once you get all the valves in, take and tap each one of these valves with a hammer a little bit to make sure those are seated all the way 100%. So smacking them with a hammer will help ensure they're seated so they don't fall off during operation, drop a valve down in your engine and destroy your reassembled beauty. Well, I've got 2 more valves yet to do, but other than that, those heads are going to come together pretty good. I want to show you a quick reference when looking at cylinder heads you're buying them used. These valves should be sticking up quite a bit from the combustion chamber, both of them. If that valve is ever like flush or very minimal material hanging out, I would suspect your valve seats may be worn or sinking in or damaged from lack of lead or whatever it might be. So just quick little reference here. The valves need to be sticking up quite a bit out of that combustion chamber. And with that being said, I'll finish lapping those other 2 valves. That's really all I need yet to do to these so I can slap them back on the engine, but I'm not going to put them on the engine. I'll probably drag you along for that. I just wanted a quick little Pontiac cylinder head class. That's what I wanted to share with you here. A little bit of the knowledge of what I've learned from the do's and the don'ts, and that didn't work out so good. And so far, I like it. This is working out fine. And if you have a set of heads you want to refurbish yourself at home, same thing. Pull all the valves out. Put them in order, which cylinder they came out of. You don't want to just mix them all up. In this case, since it had new valves, it didn't matter. But if you want to reuse the old ones, they're not pitted real bad or rusted real bad, and you want to do a little valve lapping, pull all the springs off. Same way that little spring compressor, you can buy one on Amazon. Like I said, 15 bucks for that tool. One of the best things I ever bought. And then if you, I guess I'll see if I can find a link. I'll put it in the description if you guys want to buy one. I don't get no money for it, but hey, it works, so I'm going to share it with you. But anyway, back to this. Lap those valves for a little bit, get that seat where it looks nice and clean. There's a bunch of videos on valve lapping or whatever on the internet. I'm just showing you how to do it real quick on a Pontiac thing here so you understand what I did to these heads before we put it on that engine. Then we'll do some mileage testing and some beat down testing on it, right? Drive it and see how it holds up. Pretty confident it's going to be just fine. But hey, if it's not, you're going to see it all here, so you don't want to miss that nonetheless. So don't forget to subscribe, share with your friends, and of course, whenever I get to put these heads back on the engine, a few things you're going to keep in touch with on that just the same, and hope to catch you all there.